Trey Lance or Mac Jones? Which way do you go?
Gotta hate this choice, Greeny, because these are two of my favorites, man. I'm going with Trey Lance. I'm going with the upside. I'm going with what my intel is telling me as far as this guy's makeup, his football intellect, his football intelligence, his ability to digest information on top of all that wonderful athletic ability. I think the upside is just through the roof. I understand that the floor may be a little bit lower because of his sample size, but I'm going with Trey Lance in this one. Just
Mel,
by a hair.
Next, the Bama receivers, Waddle or Devontae Smith? Who you got?
I think you put Chase, Waddle, and Smith on a wheel, spin the wheel, pick one, and be happy. Whatever it falls, you'll be happy with it. I'm going to go slightly to Devontae Smith over Jalen Waddle with Jamar Chase as my second highest. Waddle is my third, but they all basically have the same grade. I just love Devontae Smith. I want this kid on my football team.
And then finally, Booger, weapons, Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase. Who you got?
Well, Greedy, since this is a deep wide receiver draft, and I think I may not be able to get a wide receiver as talented as Jamar Chase, I can get an explosive weapon later on, whether it's Elijah Moore, Kadarius Toney, somebody that can be a playmaker. There is only one tight end in this draft worthy of being called Weapon X, and that is Kyle Pitts. So I'm going to have to take Kyle Pitts, and I'm going to put him in the middle of the field, and he's going to be a matchup nightmare for any linebacker, safety, corner, whoever you put on him. He is one of one in this draft. That's why I take Kyle Pitts.
Well, let's take a closer look at that. Mel, middle of the afternoon yesterday while NFL Live is on ESPN, my phone blows up with people saying, did you hear what Mel said? Did you hear what Mel said? For those who didn't, what did you say about Kyle Pitts on NFL Live yesterday?
I said he would be the number one receiver in this draft, and certainly a guy that is the best tight end I've ever graded in 43 years. And that's not a surprise. It shouldn't be a surprise. He's 6'6", 245 pounds. He runs 4.45, and he's a tremendous nightmare to try to match up with. And I think if you get the right coordinator that's creative and can move him around, I don't know how anybody covers Kyle Pitts. And the quarterback throw it up and let him be a power forward. Yes, to me, he's a unique talent. He's once in a decade type of player. I'm with Bug. I think you take him over the three receivers who I love. I think they're all great, but Pitts is special, and he doesn't come along very often. The other guys you can find, you cannot find a Kyle Pitts. You may not ever find a Kyle Pitts again. Who knows? I like Kenny Yeboah, though, from Ole Miss in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, but Kyle Pitts is a special entity.
Well, let's not sort of gloss right over that. You're saying in the 43 years that you have been doing the draft for ESPN, this is the best tight end you've ever seen?
No doubt. No doubt. And like I say, you don't see guys like this come along that have that type of size, that type of speed. You're talking about when Kellen Winslow came out of Miami, he was 4'6". This is a 4.45 40 guy who's 6'6", not 6'4". So you just can't underestimate the athleticism, the physicality, a book term, of a guy like Kyle Pitts in terms of how do you cover him? How do you match up with him? And to me, yeah, there's some cover guys out there, but they're not enough. And luckily this year, guys, I will say this. Wide receiver and Kyle Pitts, all in one, is a phenomenal group coming in, those pass catchers. Well, the second best position is cornerback. So luckily the NFL has some corners, so we won't see 65 to 62 games moving forward in the NFL.
Well, we'll see about that. But Lewis, let me come to you again on that. The idea that for those who haven't really seen him much, Kyle Pitts, to call him a tight end is almost unfair to him. He lines up all over the field. He does things. He's almost should change his position to offensive weapon, right? Because he doesn't just do the things that tight ends do.
Yeah, and I think what kind of signifies that is this. Teams were not trying to put safeties and linebackers on him. Teams were trying to put their corners on him, as you see right here against Georgia. Look, they knew better than to try and put a safety on him. He's just too long, he's too rangy, and he's too fast. And when you watch him run routes, whether it be a traditional hard cut route like a slant or a comeback or a curl, or it's the speed out where you don't see them put their foot in the ground and make a sharp 90-degree angle, but they roll the break, they roll it with speed. This guy is like as smooth as water. I mean, it's just so easy. And look, as someone who played in an era where there were some pretty good tight ends, and my very first start in the NFL came against a guy named Keith Jackson, who was an all-pro when he was with Miami, and Dan Marino was down there. And I went up against some of these guys. I would have been like sweating bullets and doing you-know-what in my pants if I had to match up against this guy. Because he's much faster than me. He's taller than me. He has the the wingspan of a power forward in the NFL. I mean, I'm just like, well, what am I supposed to do with a guy like this? What am I supposed to do? There aren't defensive backs who are 6'6", 240 who run 4.3. So one-on-one, he's going to beat you. The only thing that will stop Kyle Pitts is himself or an offensive coordinator who doesn't belong in the NFL. Those are only two things that'll stop him. Himself or a coach who doesn't know how to utilize him. Because other than that, there isn't a defender who's going to stop him one-on-one. It's just that simple.
You know, Booger, Teddy Bruschi was on here like 2 weeks ago, and he said, if we're playing man and that guy's on the field, I go to the sideline and say, Coach, take me out. Like, I can't be on the field right now if we're in man and that guy's on the field. I haven't heard a guy like Teddy Bruschi say anything like that about anybody before. Boog.
Yeah, Greeny, he's a matchup nightmare. And I'm very interested to see what's going to happen when he gets to the next level, because I got a feeling that defensive coordinators are not going to treat him like a tight end. They're going to treat him like a wide receiver. So if he's on the field and it's 11 personnel, we're just basically going to say now it's 4 wide receivers, and we're going to match up and maybe put our best corner or our biggest cornerback on him, somebody that has the skills to stay with him, and maybe not the size, but they have the skills. That's going to be the key, because if I told you, and here's what I would bring up, Mel, if I told you Kyle Pitts is a receiver, I don't know if we would be raving about him, but since he's a tight end, and from a matchup standpoint, we know who matches up with tight ends, I think that's why we're looking at him. But if I treat him as a receiver, we've seen big receivers in this league before, and DBs have matched up against them that way.
Yeah, I'd go to Harold Carmichael. I remember number 17 with the Philadelphia Eagles with Ron Jaworski. Jaws on the Harold Carmichael was a tremendous player. But to Kyle Pitts, guys, we talk about guys that become great. But Kyle Pitts became great. Up until this year, he was a talent, but he had some inconsistencies. Had a drop every now and then. This year, he eliminated all that. He caught everything. So I wouldn't have been speaking about him in these glowing terms, these historic terms, if it wasn't for the way he played this year as opposed to the last couple where he was really good but not spectacular like he was in 2020.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.